What's up guys, this is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we've got a highly requested gun. We have the Beretta APX Centurion. It's the compact version with the 15 round magazines. I actually picked this up at my local Shields down there in Cedar Falls from my buddy Blake for right around $350, making it a very value-oriented pistol. I've heard a lot about these. I've yet to actually mess around with one too much. I've held them and I wasn't overly excited, but for the price point that they're coming in from the company that they're made by and the reputation that they're growing online, they seem to be at the very least something to definitely look into. So that's what we're doing. And now that I have it, we'll tell you a little bit about it. It's got a 3.7 inch barrel, making it a little bit shorter than something like a Glock 19, but it has the similar grip. So kind of think of like a Glock 45 shrunk down even. So an even shorter barrel on a G19. It has these interesting ribbed for her pleasure slide serrations there that give the pistol kind of a unique, ugly look. It's got 3-dot steel sights right from the factory. That's pretty impressive. It's got ambi controls. The magazine release is swappable. One thing I don't like about it though is I noticed in practice, I haven't shot this yet, but I have played around with it a little bit. When I push the magazine release to eject the magazine, it kind of gets stuck on my opposite finger on this side. So I'm having to kind of get my middle finger out of the way and hit the magazine release. We'll see if that happens in actual shooting or not. The trigger seems okay. It's got a fairly wide, flat face with a trigger safety just like a Glock. Feels pretty good overall. Not the worst trigger I've ever felt by all means. Similar to the Taurus G2, kind of, the G2C. It's got adjustable back straps here that you can take on and off, small, medium, and large. However, be careful, because not only is the takedown of this pistol a little more entertaining than normal, but removing the back straps is not as simple as it appears either. You actually have to take the slide off and then press a little pin sideways and then pull it out. And in the process of that, I managed to smoke my finger pretty good. Most people probably won't do that, but I was in a hurry. And just to let you know that the all-around takedown and operation of this pistol is just a little bit different than what we're accustomed to. I've gotten so used to having the new modern pistols be so easy, it's kind of interesting. A couple other things to note is that it seems like a very thick and heavy pistol, and that's because it actually has a modular chassis system in it. And it was, I believe, made for the military trials. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. And it has a chassis system in here just like the P320. So if you were to want to take this gun out and put it in another grip, let's say, you can do that because the serialized part is just right there, not the lower like a Glock. So pretty neat overall. One thing that allows you to do is if there is a lot of aftermarket support like there is for the 320, for example, you can take that chassis system out and put it in something like the Flux Defense brace system or any other of the systems that are on the market for that, and you can kind of make it a PDW or whatever you feel like doing. So it does make it more modular, which is interesting, but however, the APX seems to not have near the aftermarket support or the customer support as the P320 does. So as far as the future of this gun, I'm not sure, but for the $350 price point, so far it looks pretty excellent, but only one way to find out, and that's to go shoot it. All right, before we get into the shooting, I do want to mention earlier today, we got hacked. That was the first time the channel's been hacked, and there was a whole bunch of random stuff going on there, and they changed a whole bunch of settings, and it took us forever to actually get them locked back out, and hopefully we have been locked back out. And I wanted to give a big thanks to some of the people on Instagram who messaged me and let me know about it. Thank you very much. Thanks for keeping an eye on things for me. I really appreciate that. And also thank you to Mrs. Outlaw there, who managed to actually figure out how to fix it in the first place. So I appreciate both of you. Also, big thanks to YouTube for doing absolutely nothing and not answering any of my messages. Thanks for that also. This shit's all right. So far, so good. All right, so pretty much point of impact Kind of aiming right there. I'm getting a little bit low and left. That could most likely be attributed to trigger control. Not the most accurate gun in the world. It's got big, wide combat style sights and only a 3.7 inch sight radius. So about, I think, a similar sight radius to a Glock 43X actually. And overall, not bad though. Now we'll do a little concealed carry distance. We're about 10 yards here, so about right here. Oh, last round. There's my speed reload. I know that little dingus is interesting. That little thing pops up every time you pull the trigger. Something to do with the striker, I assume.
Is dingus a technical term?
It is.
I thought so.
All right, so now we're back here at 25 yards. Not the fastest shooting gun in the world, a little snappy. Trigger's a little bit iffy. We're loading them to about 14, 13 rounds because the magazines are a little bit tough to load as well. As far as like combat accuracy, it's more than acceptable. There we go. Well, I'm not going to be taking any hostage shots with this, I'll tell you that. I printed a real good group down there low left. So maybe we are just hitting a little low left. Some of it's got to be trigger control, but some of it could be sights as well. So now we got the Beretta APX Centurion out here at 50 yards, and we're having a little bit of accuracy issues at 25, coming down low and left a couple of inches. And usually that's trigger control, but if it happens consistently over and over and over again, it's hard to believe it's trigger control every single time. We're gonna consistent group low and left a little bit. And with guns without adjustable sights, the best thing you can really do is either file the front or rear sight down, depending on whether you're high or low. You could drift it left or right a little bit, but for the most part, you can pretty much kind of Kentucky windage it, sort of aim at his right or left shoulder. And we're gonna be here at 50 yards now. We're gonna see if we can exacerbate that a little bit and see how our groups look on a freshly painted IPSC target. Aim right in the middle here, put the front sight right where the head is, and the top of the sight right in the middle of the target. Take our time. All right, let's go down there and take a look at our 50-yard group. Still filming? Mm-hmm. All right. So here's our group. Now I missed two, and they went off the left side, and I attribute that to trigger control. This is more so what we're looking at here is a group with 50 yards. I can put my hand over that, which is kind of nice. We got two flyers out here. So overall accuracy isn't bad. However, one thing to note is that I was aiming right here at this nut. And most of you will say, well, it's 50 yards. You know, that's drop. But the reality with a 9mm pistol is that the drop at 50 yards is only a couple inches. So it should all be about right in here if it was like mechanical accuracy, like a machine shooting it. However, we've got a lot that went really low. So I'm thinking this pistol just shoots a little bit low for me overall. And people always talk about shooting long range. One thing to note is that it doesn't drop that much out to 50 yards, a 9mm, a 115 grain bullet. However, if you go past that out to like 100 yards, you start to see some increased drop. So about here is where we'd be looking at if we were shooting at 100 yards, but at 50 yards, that's just a little bit low. But overall, with a 3.7-inch barrel, iron sights, with the combat setup, and a regular trigger from a $350 gun that I've never shot before, I'll take that. Pretty decent accuracy from 25 yards though. I mean, that's a hand-sized group at 25 yards, fairly rapid fire, so I'm getting used to it.
And go.
So we're out here at the 80-yard line, and I think we're gonna be okay here if we aim at his right shoulder. Yep. Nope. All right. So overall, the Beretta APX is a pretty good gun, I think, so far. I mean, we got about 200 rounds through it now, and I had some accuracy issues to begin with. I think part of that was just learning the trigger. I'm a pretty decent shot, but sometimes you have problems, and sometimes you don't vibe with guns right away, and it just takes a little while to get used to it. Overall, we are shooting a little bit low left, but as long as I remember to compensate just a little bit, it's fine. If this were my actual gun that I was gonna keep and carry, I would probably either get a set of aftermarket sights to fix that issue, which I'm sure there's gotta be some available, or like I said, you could always file down the front or the rear depending on which one you wanted to do, or you could hit it and drift it right or left. And we'll probably drift her a little bit to fix the left issue, but we'll probably just tolerate the shooting a little bit low. That does happen with some guns, and it's relatively easy to compensate for. You just kind of scoop the sights a little bit. After we figured it out, the accuracy was pretty decent. Recoil control is pretty decent for what it is. A little bit snappy, but it's a 3.7-inch barrel, so what do you expect? It's got good capacity. It's a good size for carry, and overall, I think it's a really good gun for the money. I mean, for $350 out the door, the gun was reliable so far. I expect it to be reliable. I haven't seen any reliability issues online so far, and coming from a company like Beretta, it should be reliable. The parts are made of pretty decent materials. It has pretty decent ergonomics, and overall the controls were not an issue. I was worried about that magazine release being an issue. It wasn't. No problem there. Overall, I'm going to put a 1,000 rounds through it to make sure, but it seems like a pretty decent gun for the money. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you want to become a patron supporter, there's a lot of perks to that. You can go down to the description below. You can also go down to the description and check out a link to a local shelter in Ames, Iowa that I'd really like you to support. It's a youth shelter, and they could use all the help they can get. Forgot my outro. What the hell is it?
Check you later.
What?
Check you later?
Check you later? Let's go with that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Got a mustache hair in my mouth.
Happens.
It doesn't happen to you, though.
No, I mean, I get your mustache hair in my mouth.
Yeah, but I don't know, you gotta wait till you're like 80 to get your mustache hair in your mouth.
And go.